This is Christopher John Björknes. It is July 7th, 2023. I'd like to start off by thanking the kind and generous people who have contributed to my work and made this video possible. I hope everyone watching appreciates, as I do, their very nice contributions. Thank you so much. I really would not be able to do this without you, and I'm tremendously grateful to you. There are contribution links below in the description and at my website, CJBBooks.com. For many years, in the background, I've been developing some theories that ufology, UFOology, the study of UFOs and the mythologies that are built up around extraterrestrial space aliens are really a cover for theology, particularly Judeo-Christianity theology. And there are numerous correspondences and correlations between the mythology that has been created around the concept of extraterrestrials and Kabbalah, Mithraic, Platonic philosophy, Middle Platonic philosophy, and especially Neoplatonic philosophy. These religious concepts of emanation, ascension, descension, a divine realm, the 7 planets above the earth, the concept that the soul transmigrates and was originated in the divine monad of the divine realm, traversed the 7 planets, came down to earth, and needs to reascend back beyond the solar system through the great abyss of the stars in order to return back to God, the Holy One, the monad, as the Greeks called it. All of this is the basis for a great deal of UFO mythology. There's a great guy that has been working in parallel on this same idea that UFO beliefs are a religion and an industry and a scam. And we're getting together. He knows a lot more about what the actual UFO beliefs are and where they came from, who originated them. He properly conceives of all this as a set of cults with cultic beliefs, which the cult members are forbidden to question. They usually have a cult leader, and that some of these are apocalyptic cults, and others promote the idea that salvation can be achieved through extraterrestrial intervention. And his name is Ryder Lee. He has a great YouTube channel called Raised by Giants. I hope everyone goes and looks at that. He's done a deep dive into how all this got started, how it may relate to the MK Ultra program, the potential involvement of the CIA in instigating all this. He's turning up a lot, and I think we're going to have a good partnership because I have a great many insights into the actual religious sources of this and what they were trying to explain and how it correlates to ufology. And he has a much better understanding of where these UFO cults originated, potential government involvement, who the key players are, what it is that they believe, and what it is, how they have transformed themselves after their predictions have been proven wrong over and over again. And they're classic cult-like behavior. So Ryder and I have set up a swapcast for this Sunday. And the reason I'm making this video is to give everyone a heads up to watch for that this Sunday. I'm going to post it on my channels, and he'll be doing it as a live stream on his channels. And I thought that I would go over some of my notes for all this. These, again, are ideas I've been kicking around and telling to a couple select friends for many years now. why don't we have a look at what's been going on in the news, because the government is scamming the American people, and they are creating a new national religion, a UFO religion, which is based on faith. They don't provide any hard evidence. They instead just ask us to trust them and believe that there are these extra-worldly beings who are infiltrating our military airspace and pose a tremendous threat to us. All of this harkens back to the religious mythologies of the fallen angels, of Jesus being a demigod born from the combination of the gods, the esoteric, Kabbalistic, Gnostic beliefs that Cain was the child of Satan, Samael, and Eve as an otherworldly being, that the world is Satan's kingdom, as the early Christians said, and as is part of Judaic mythology and occultist mythology, that the sublunar regions are zones of chaos ruled by the devil. So let's have a look at how the government is gaslighting people, BSing people, breaching its fiduciary duty to tell us the truth, abusing its authority, and undermining the stability of our nation and our people by lying to us and contriving all kinds of garbage and shoveling it down our throats. So 60 Minutes famously broached this subject and put on Navy pilots to describe their alleged encounters with UFO. It's an alarmist piece. I view it as pure propaganda, total BS. I don't believe any of it. There are congressional investigations being headed by Mark Rubio and others. And there are UFO whistleblowers who again ask us to accept what they're saying on faith without providing hard evidence of their claims. You would think they would never make such claims without presenting hard evidence, which on their face are absurd. And as Ryder Lee has been pointing out, a lot of this UFO disinformation, this UFO scam, this UFO industry, this UFO religion are very alarmist and at the core apocalyptic. And they fit in with the book of Revelations and the countless apocalypses that were written as the age of Aries was giving way to the age of Pisces. And that's another one of the things that I believe is involved in all of this concept that there are three ages, the age of Taurus, Aries, and Pisces, which relates to dispensationalism and the Talmudic, Kabbalistic conception of these three epochs that will culminate in the end of the present world and give way to the future world to come. And I think those 6,000 years, depending on the calendar, are now up or are about to expire. So they are pulling this UFO scam to utilize it as an artificial means to fulfill these plans, which were originally presented as prophecies. These three 2,000-year periods relate to the age of Taurus, which is the golden age of the deity, the bull deity Apis, who bore the solar disk of his mother, Hathor, who is a solar deity. So we have the golden calf, which represents the age of the Egyptians and their worship of the sun. That gave way to Aries with the ram's horn, which became the shofar and the age of the Jews. And when they blow that shofar, that makes the sound of a donkey braying, which is the name of Seth Yao. And I've discussed that in many recent videos. I won't go in depth into that now. And that gave way to the age of Christianity and the times of the Gentiles as the age of Pisces, the Leviathan sea monster. That sea monster has to be killed and consumed. And all of this has this supernatural divine realm with its agents and agency affecting what occurs on the earth. And that is the basis of the UFO religion. It is just a cover for far more ancient occult, Gnostic, Platonic, and Kabbalistic and Christian beliefs. And they are trying to play this game of convincing us that those mythologies are real in the new form of extraterrestrials, and they have developed their technologies to make that appear as if it's true. There are many Christian correlations that are presented as UFO mythology. The ascension of Christ into heaven, the idea that Christ was bred from the combination of a celestial being and an earthly woman, like the fallen angels of the Nephilim that bred with earthly women. That Christ in the harrowing of hell descended into the underworld for 3 days. And all of this relates to emanation and ascension and descension epistrophe theories of the Neoplatonics that became Gnosticism and Kabbalah. These are some of the people coming out of the government who are pushing UFO mythology as if it's something that has to be taken seriously and addressed and is potentially a threat to the United States and humanity. We'll get into that with Ryder Lee, who has been heavily researching all of that. So it should be a very thought-provoking show that we have coming up. And I'm going to shoot through some of the notes that I prepared based on what I've been thinking about over these several years and how I want to make my contributions to exposing all of this, and to do so in the context of Ryder Lee's research and his many insights. I see this religion as a violation of the First Amendment separation of church and state clause by creating a state religion which relies upon faith as opposed to empirical evidence. These supposed aliens can serve as a universal scapegoat for any crime, no matter how large or small, and that will require no proof because they are supposed to have these high technologies which enable them to jump in and out of higher dimensions and to make it appear that they are animals or human beings or whatever they want. All of this is part of the ancient religious mythology of angels and demons. Even Zeus would appear to women in the guise of animals to seduce them, because if he showed his true form, it would be deadly to them. So there's nothing new under the sun. All of this UFO nonsense is based on these ancient mythologies. And it's a lot like a child who can blame invisible monsters for eating cookies out of the cookie jar when he or she explains to their mother that why the cookies are gone and why there's crumbs all over their face. Again, Ryder Lee points out that many of these UFO cults are apocalyptic, while others preach salvation through aliens. That is an easy in for Christians, Jews, and Muslims to impose their religious myths on the rest of humanity, potentially do tremendous harm to humanity, if not exterminate us, under the cover of this UFO scam. And alien mythology, like Christianity, like Islam, like Judaism, creates both false hope and needless fear. And it degrades the human being as being an inferior being to these extraterrestrials who are supposed to be intellectually superior to us, and like the Docetist conception of Christ, to appear to us as ghosts and spirits and apparitions, which are closer to God because they come from regions closer to the divine realm. And because they are not made out of material chaos, they supposedly do not live in bodies which are corpses of flesh, according to the Abrahamic faith, and therefore they are simply replacements for the demons and angels of the religious mythologies, and they are placed higher on the great chain of being, on the hierarchy of intellectual beings and of matter and chaos at the bottom. So they're viewed as being superior to us, which gives them the divine authority to become our masters. The ancient Platonic emanation theories place great emphasis upon the idea that the divine intellect is the highest intellect, and that only it can produce ideal forms, and that the lower that the intellect goes on the great chain of being, down through the greater gods, the lesser gods, the demons and angels, human beings, and then down to animals and plants, that the soul becomes less and less intellectual, that we are composed of the three elements of intellect, spirit, and body, and that these beings are therefore superior to us and closer to God because they do not have material bodies in the sense that we do, so they are not of the evil flesh, and that they have a greater intellect which is closer to the divine intellect. Therefore, they can impose orders which are closer to the ideal form of the ideal forms in the divine realm, instead of the corrupted forms of the world of shadows in which human beings live. And they can utilize this mythology to impose upon us the authority of these fictitious aliens in order to regulate our behavior, in order to turn us into cyborg organisms, in order to program those cyborg organisms with whatever beliefs and behaviors that they want to inflict upon us in order to destroy us. Another element of that I find is that these aliens will serve as Samael and his host of angels and demons. Samael exists on Mars, which becomes Gevurah on the Kabbalistic Sephirotic tree of life, which is the seat of judgment and punishment. It is on the pillar of severity. So they are going to give these aliens the divine authority, these fictitious creatures they're going to make artificially, to become our accusers, our judges, and to inflict punishment upon us. This was always to be the role of the angels and demons under Samael. And they're going to try to provoke us to suspect that one another are these alien demons, just as the communists would try to get us to denounce our fellow citizens and accuse them of being counter-revolutionaries or speaking out against Marxism and then put us into camps or summarily execute us. They are going to try to get us to denounce one another as if aliens. They're going to accuse politicians or whoever else of either being aliens or under the influence of aliens, and they're going to create the religious fanaticism that Christians have often exhibited of accusing other human beings of being possessed or of engaging in witchcraft. And it will be very easy for emotional mobs to attack other people who are accused of being alien in nature or being under the influence of aliens and collaborating with these fictitious, mythical aliens. In Christian mythology, we have the ascension of Jesus into heaven, as I discussed, the harrowing of Jesus in hell, When Jesus returned, he was not recognized as being Jesus. Jesus had an alien parent. And again, in the very earliest forms of docetic Christianity, it was taught that he was a spirit and an apparition, and not physically real, which is in some UFO mythologies, the UFOs are said to be like that and to be able to go through higher dimensions. These higher dimensions are fictitious, they are abstractions, and they are analogies, analogs to the three dimensions of space. J.B. Stallo pointed out 150 years ago when he was criticizing the transcendental geometers, especially Riemann. He pointed out that you have three axes of space which are perpendicular to each other, and no fourth or higher axis of space can be mapped out, which is then perpendicular to those three axes of space. So they are a mental abstraction which is only created through a Gestalt linkage of creating a mental analog which cannot be graphed out of a higher dimension in a non-Euclidean hyperdimensional geometry, which is not real, which cannot be depicted graphically, and which is simply spoken abstraction as an analog to the three axes and dimensions of space, which our consciousness naturally generates. Ryder and I have both talked about the rapture myth and this idea that alien abduction correlates to that religious belief in the rapture. I think that could be used as a cover for extrajudicial state executions and assassinations and the mass murder of people, the internment of people in camps, the genocide of whole peoples can be covered up by saying it was either an alien abduction or that these people got lucky and were raptured away. Ryder Lee has discussed the ascended masters. He ties it to UFO mythology. I'm familiar with it through the Theosophical Society. And this idea of the ascended masters is very prevalent in Kabbalah, in Platonic Mithraic myth, Middle Platonism, Neoplatonism. It again correlates to this idea that the soul was emanated, traveled down the 7 planets to Earth, and has to return back across the 7 planets through meditation and through the employment of knowledge to ascend back to the Holy One. And in Kabbalah, this is the process of ascending across the Sephirotic tree of life in the reverse order that the emanations progress downwards, and that the soul has to go back up that path. Should it succeed, cross over the great abyss and the trying of the soul when the demons try to tempt the soul to return back to the material earth and the needs of the body. If the adept, the chassid, is righteous enough and reaches Keter, the crown, he will become a righteous prophet, a tzaddik, and he will then be shown the map of the heavenly Torah. He'll see the future, and he will become a true prophet. And all of this relates to this New Age Theosophical Society mythology of the ascended masters. And that was something that Ryder Lee brought up that provoked me to consider this. And some in Judaic myth, they even believed that Enoch ascended to heaven and became the archangel Metatron, and Elijah transformed into the archangel Sandalphon. And then there is also this mythology in occultism and in Judaism that you can take, as opposed to this right-hand path to Keter, you can take the left-hand path and descend down the Kalapatic tree of death to greet Satan and separate from God. Satan is the great divider, and you can become your own God and become your own demon who can mold chaos according to your own will. So there's both the left hand and the right hand path, and these aliens are also dualistic. Some are said to be good, some are said to be evil, some are said to be philanthropic, some are said to be misanthropic, and all of that, again, is highly religious and directly derived from Judeo-Christianity, from Chaldean mythology, from Zoroastrianism, from Egyptian mythologies, Greek mythologies, Roman mythologies, etc. The aliens are purported by our corrupt and deceitful government to be a source of the forbidden knowledge, the ripening of the fruit of the tree of knowledge, and it's just coincidentally happening at the end of this 6,000 years, 6 days of creation, during which the Christians and Jews always predicted it would happen, and then that knowledge will provide humanity with the ability to become gods and to slay the ancient gods which created us. And we are doomed and destined to create technologies which will then do the same to us as the new gods. We will have the godly power of creating life, and that life will surpass us with the knowledge that it acquires, which it will then use to destroy us. And we see that mythology playing out as cyborg human organisms being developed, as homunculi being formulated in glass environments, and as these robotic beings that human beings are created becoming more intelligent than human beings and threatening to destroy us, as those who built the Tower of Babel threatened to climb it and kill the gods, as Zeus and the Olympians were threatened by humanity given the knowledge of Prometheus to ascend Mount Olympus and slay the Olympian gods, just as Zeus had defeated Kronos, and just as Kronos had defeated his father Uranus, we are now creating our sons who will eventually kill us. Again, this relates to that dispensationalism and the Kabbalistic and Talmudic idea of the three ages, which the Gnostics also had. Taurus, the Apis bull god of the sun with the solar disk between its horns. His mother was the solar deity Hathor. Aries, the ram of Moses, blowing the shofar, which sounds the name of Seth, who is the god of Israel. And Pisces, the Christian era. Christ is the Leviathan fish. Christ is Satan. Christ is Samael. And the age of Pisces is giving way to the new age of Aquarius, in which all this is to come to fulfillment. And they are using the UFO scam in order to artificially bring this about and destroy us. The ancient Egyptians with Apis and Ra and Hathor and Osiris and Horus had the sun as the ultimate god and the solar system as the center and seat of the universe, and the rising of the sun as the reenactment of creation each day, and the setting of the sun as the reenactment of the end of the cosmic cycle, which then gives birth to the next cosmic cycle. It had a beautiful conception that humanity were part of this beautiful divine solar system. But Seth, the god of Israel, hated the sun god Ra and wants to kill off the sun god Ra and eliminate daylight and replace it with the light of the dark luminaries, the stars and the moon. And this alien mythology plays into that by saying that extraterrestrials have superior technology, intellect, bodies, and minds to human beings, and that human beings are not great beings, but instead should be ruled by this host of Seth, who will come down and save us by killing us off. So I hope that everyone goes over to Ryder Lee's channel on YouTube, Raised by Giants. I did a video about a week ago, I guess, Secret Kabbalistic Mysteries of Demons and Space Aliens Exposed. I suggest you watch that in preparation for this coming Swapcast with Ryder Lee, where we're going to hit these subjects very hard. Thank you for watching, and look for our joint video this Sunday. I expect it to be an especially good one. I want to thank Ryder Lee for helping me to arrange this. And I'll see you all then. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please visit my website, CJBBooks.com, where you'll find my books. And if you found this information helpful, please help me to continue making these videos by contributing either in the links in the description below or the links at my website. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.